UFC 308 is going down this weekend in the Octagon, and you are not going to want to miss it. You can make Fight Night even more exciting by getting in on the action with my partners, DraftKings. Right now, all new customers who bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Sign up using my code Sonnen. DraftKings, the crown is yours. You can also stay in on the NFL action and use your $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings. DraftKings is the place to bet touchdowns. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers, download the app. Use my promo code SONNEN. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code SONNEN. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings, the crown is yours. The question that I was asked is, hey, Chael, what's the greatest story you know? Complimented me, said he likes my ability to tell stories. Says, what is the greatest story you know? I'm going to title this piece on YouTube, The Greatest Story I Know. The year is 1995. I have just finished my junior year of high school. I'm going into my senior year of high school. And I'm at something called Junior National Camp. And the Junior Nationals will lead you to what's commonly known as Fargo, but it is the premier, without question. I don't question it now, but it does have some competition now. It had no competition back then. For sure, if you want to be known as America's best high school wrestler, this is where it happens. And you get it done there or you don't make the claim. Every state in the country sent their top 2 guys. So you got 50 states, you got 100-man brackets, but then there was also a petition process. So some states could send up to 4 guys. So now you've got 140-man brackets, but all 50 states, the Western Hemisphere, were represented. It was a true national tournament. We got to go to camp for it. So my buddy Justin had me over sometimes, but if I went at my buddy Justin's house, I was at my house. I wasn't anywhere else. I didn't spend the night or do things like this. So this is the big deal for me. This is, if you're going to let your hair down or cut loose because mom and dad aren't around, right? You've seen those sheltered kids. So I would go into that category. The deal is, though, so would everybody else that's there. Wrestlers it's a pretty disciplined lifestyle. And the coaches allowed us. So when we get to the high school, which is at Hood River High School, you have to stay there. You do all your training there. All your meals are right there. And the school is huge. When it comes bedtime, we roll our sleeping bags right on the wrestling mats. 6 a.m., Dreamweaver, I could get you through the night. Kicks on. All right? Coach Bassam. This is how we wake up at 6 a.m. and you got minutes to be dressed outside your run. You come back, Mookie's got breakfast ready. But it was all day like that. Back to training, lunch would come, back to training, dinner would come, late session. But there was one 30-minute period where the coaches would let us leave campus, and it was a straight shot half mile up the road. There was a Ma and Pa convenience store, like a 7-Eleven, but not 7-Eleven. And they let us go. You had 30 minutes. So if mom and dad sent you $1 or something, you go get a great big pop for $1, get something. But even if you weren't buying anything, you could just be out with the guys. You could be walking. This street and this walk was really this half a mile down, half a mile back. It was this really fun time. I mean, the whole thing is nothing but hard work. We're in training camp. We're the hardest tournament in the country, right? It's hard. But this walk was awesome. So there was a rule that was simply, and this one rule did then, if you followed it, it encompassed a whole bunch of things. But the only rule that was actually said, was actually stated, you don't ever leave here without us knowing. And we are only going to know about this 30-minute walk to the convenience store and back. So within that, of course, that creates a ton of rules. But if you just follow that one rule, it would be very fair to say there was only one rule. Don't leave. All right, great. So Coach Sullivan is the head of this whole thing. He's even over Coach Bassam. He's over everything. Director for the Oregon Junior National team. And Coach Sullivan goes about 450 pounds. right in that 450 range. And it was tough on top of that. He'd get out, he'd work out with the guys. He'd be covered in sweat, he'd be tired, he'd be pushing and pulling. He'd do it the whole time. He's a big, tough son of a bitch. And Coach Sullivan decides he's going to do a head count. Well, that's going to be no problem because we're all here. I mean, where would we go for one? And two, it's the only rule. Of course we're following it. Well, no, it turned out that Joe and two other guys did not. Joe and two other guys were gone at midnight when Coach Sullivan does this. So Coach Sullivan heads outside. There's a fence. You got to come. There's one opening to get into the proper where you got to come through this fence. So all Coach Sullivan has to do is park his 450-pound self right there at the one gap in the fence, the door. First guy comes in. Coach says, "Where you been?" Guy folds. "Me and so-and-so and Joe. And when we were on that half-a-mile walk, we met these girls and we made a little plan with them. And so, we slipped out and we jumped in the car. And I can't remember if there was any kind of like beer or something involved. There probably was, but I also could be adding that to the story. And he rats the other two guys out. He rats himself out. He gives up everything. He gives up their ages, their names. He gives the whole bit all the way down to the little blue car that they were in. Coach takes him inside. Cell phones weren't a thing back then. Goes onto a landline, wakes his parents up and tells them to come get him. And Hood River was in the middle of nowhere. I mean, for my personal family, when we lived in the valley, it was about an hour and 15-minute drive. Hour, 25-minute drive. So wherever these guys are from, which I don't know because I never saw them again, their parents are on the way. All right. Coach Sullivan goes back. He's waiting for the next two. Another guy and Joe. Next guy comes in. "Where you been?" Even though Coach knows it, it's just something you say. "Where you been?" Guy folds. "Oh, man. Me and so-and-so and Joe, and we met these girls on the walk. We had this little plan, and we got out." So, all right. Into my office. Calls the parents on the landline, wakes them up. They're coming to get him. Now now Coach Sullivan only needs Joe. So he goes back out. Joe comes straggling in. Coach Sullivan says, "Where you been?" And Joe tells him, "I was out looking for God." Yeah, I was laying down. I was in bed just like everyone else. And there was this light. I saw a light and I followed it. And I heard a voice and I've been out looking for God. And Coach, I'll be damned. I think I found him. Coach Sullivan knows he's been had. He's dumbfounded. Tells Joe, "Go to bed." Joe went to junior nationals with the rest of us.